weeks, our morning classes will be combat stimulation classes to train our combat awareness, he informed, and with an excited glint in his eyes as he walked out of their shared room with an extra bounce in his steps. As he walked out, Alaric sat down on the floor and began studying the skill book with total concentration, determined to learn the skill by all means. His resolve, however, hit a rock as he noticed he could not understand a word written on the sheet. He groaned in frustration and started over again, scanning the page with his eyes. A new skill detected. Would you like to copy? Yes or no? The status window appeared as he finished reading the word, unable to understand a thing. Does copying the skill mean I have learned it? Alaric asked, as a new surge of hope filled his heart. Being unable to read the skill books equals being unable to use any skills. And that would automatically end his career as a mage. Yes, when you copy a skill, it will be registered in the system as learned, and with that, you will know how to use the skill. However, you will still need to learn to control it on your own. What is the condition to copy a skill? Letting out a sigh of relief, Alaric asked. You need to know the name and the visual display of the skill if you want to copy someone's skill. And for the written skills, you need to scan through the words. When you copy the skill, you won't be affected by its penalty, but some can only be used for a limited time. Alaric grinned excitedly as he heard the system's words. If going by the Earth's game procedure, he would be an OP player with such a cheat code of copying others' skills. Thinking about this, he narrowed his eyes suspiciously. What do I have to give you in return? I don't plan on selling my soul to you when I become powerful, he voiced seriously. Why would I need your soul? I don't need anything from you. I'm a system programmed to give you tasks and guide you. All I'm doing is carrying out tasks given to me by my creator. Then inform your creator that I won't be giving him my soul, Alaric repeated. There won't be a situation where you need to give your soul. We just need you to carry out tasks and eradicate the demons around here. No matter how I see it, you and your creator are suspicious. But I don't have a choice, and I have to finish the tasks before I can go back to my home. Just so you know, the moment I detect anything shady about you or your creator's plan, I will not spare you, even if I have to die, he threatened, and the system went quiet. Alaric dropped the topic, deciding to talk more about it in the future. He wasn't in a hurry to find out more about the reason why he had been chosen. Somehow he could feel it. The moment he learns the truth, there will be no going back for him. So I make use of the learned skill, he muttered, and immediately felt a warm sensation over his body. A string of ancient words appeared in his mind, and he found himself understanding how the fireball works. He focused attention on his mana source, and began channeling the mana all through his body until it got to his hands. Using the newly learned skill, he conjured the flames and began shaping them into a fireball. The small, flickering flame in his palm began forming the shape of a fireball, but it always returned to its original state after some time, frustrating Alaric, who was determined to have control over the fire before the trial at the Academy in 2 weeks. You've got the basis for fireball, but your mana output is still too little to create a fireball, Gaius explained while standing at the entrance to their room. I thought my mana power would increase after I got the first mana ring. Why do I still have low mana output? Is it because my mana affinity is low? Alaric questioned. Even with a low mana affinity, your mana output should not be this low, Gaius muttered, placing his hands on his chin with a thoughtful expression. When you absorb the mana into your body, do you feel there is a blockage around it? He asked, and Alaric shook his head. I don't feel any kind of blockage. On the contrary, I always feel that it is too easy to absorb the mana into my mana core. Sometimes I feel like the mana I absorb is not enough, he explained, and Gaius sighed. I'm afraid your journey as a mage will be more difficult than others, Gaius stated while giving Alaric a pitiful look. Why? Because you have a large mana source, and your mana body is not compatible with it. What I'm saying is that your mana source is bigger than most. People who have such a mana source grow to become powerful since they can store more mana than others. But that can only work if they have a high mana body and mana affinity, Gaius explained. With all three in place, anyone with your kind of mana source will always surpass their peers. But in your case, it is difficult to match up to your peers because of your mana body and mana affinity, he added. Alaric felt a sinking in his heart. He had just been celebrating his cheat code only for his dreams to be shattered the next moment. Is there a way to increase the mana affinity and mana body? There is, but it's very expensive. Profile details upgraded. Name, Alaric With. Age, 18 years old. Mage level, Tier 1. Mage class, unknown. Nobility, peasant. Wealth, 2,700 points. Mana body condition, weak. Treasure, 1 low-grade mana crystal, 1 medium-grade mana crystal, 3 healing potions, 5 mid-grade mana portions, a wooden wand. Skills, Fireball level 1. Ulrich pants heavily as he reads the updated profile after finally succeeding at making a fireball on the third day of trying, even though it was just a pea-sized ball. There are levels to the skill? He asked in bewilderment, wiping away the sweat gathered on his forehead. Yes, the more proficient you are, the higher the level of skill. There is also a chance to combine 2 skills to form 1, the system explained. Alaric took out a mana portion and ingested it before sitting down to start absorbing mana into his mana source. He felt a burst of mana surge from his mana source and circulated his body, leaving a warm aftermath. It was morning by the time he opened his eyes, and the flying boat had come to a stop at another town called Miletus. Caspian bounced into the room excitedly, ready to explore the town and do some missions. Come on, after this town the stopovers will be short, and we won't be able to do many missions. Caspian urged as he noticed Alaric was still in his meditative state. Why are you always so excited to go hunting? Alaric asked and stood up to get himself prepared for their time in the town. Why else? I need money and experience. Money mostly, Caspian replied, before pulling his hand to drag him out. Upon exiting the boat, they were given the same set of instructions for all of them to gather in 6 hours for their next takeoff. Caspian dragged Alaric into another mission guild, and they completed the normal procedure before getting a mission to do. Now that you can use fireballs, killing monsters should be a little easier than the last one. We will be taking monster hunting tasks alone this time, Caspian voiced as they picked their separate tasks. Being reminded of the previous task given by the system, Alaric decided to pick a mission similar to the task. He picked up a mission to gather the silk of the Silkweaver spider. The mission reward is 10 head coins for a pound of silk. The mission was perfect to test out his fireball skill, as the Silkweaver spiders are known for their low tolerance to magic attacks. Seeing his choice of mission, Caspian nodded in approval. The silk from the Silkweaver spider is always a hot potato amongst armor makers, although the spider itself has a low tolerance to magic attacks. Its silk, on the other hand, is different. He began as they walked towards the forest surrounding Miletus town. The silk, when used to make armor, increases the defensibility of the armor because the silk can absorb mana to repair itself. He explained. Wow, I was wondering if a pound is bought for that much since it's just silk, Alaric voiced, and Caspian chuckled. Although it's easy to acquire, the demand for it most times outweighs the supply. You have to be careful though. The Silkweaver spider's venom is not as poisonous as the other spiders, but its bite can leave you weak and dizzy for a long time, he warned as they both went to their various destinations, promising to meet back at the entrance of the forest. Alaric's heart pounded in anticipation as he walked deeper into the forest in search of the spider's den. It wasn't long before he found his target among a cluster of trees. He noticed several silky webs clogging around the trees as he walked in deeper. Cautiously, he moved closer to the trees with the silky webs, conjuring up his mana in a way that he could defend himself at any time. He began gathering the silk from the trees with keen alertness. While he was busy harvesting the silk, a group of Silkweaver spiders began climbing down the trees. Alaric could feel the deep hatred and malice they had towards him through their green eyes. His shivered, and his hand trembled as the group continued approaching him. Without wasting time, he put away the harvested silk, immediately summoned his fireball with trembling hands, and aimed at the group. The spiders screeched in pain as the fire engulfed their bodies, slowly consuming them until there was nothing left of them but their ash. Just as the first group died off, some other groups emerged from the trees close by, every one of them marching in Alaric's direction, with a malicious aura enveloping them. Alaric could almost hear their accusations being thrown at him from their silent screeching. With pursed lips and total concentration, Alaric summoned another fireball and aimed it at the group closest to him, killing half of them in one hit. He panted in exhaustion, noting how they keep coming at him after every kill. If you continue at this rate, you will die of exhaustion before killing them off. What do you mean? He asked in confusion and aimed the next fireball at another group. It's not like I want to keep fighting them. They just keep coming. He grumbled. Your casting time is too slow. And you aren't even casting a spell. At least you are not using the casting circle. All you had to do was channel and manifest, and then you are still this slow. Am I doing something wrong then? This is the fastest I can cast. You already have a perfect grip on forming a fireball, however. You are holding yourself back by trying to conjure the flame before shaping it, instead of just conjuring the fireball directly, the system explained. Skip the materialization stage and just manifest the fireball directly. That way your casting time won't be so long. Alaric hummed and began trying out that new method, only for the system to speak up again. Oh, by the way, following my direction will consume more of your mana, and with your limited mana, you will only be able to use 5 mana balls before your mana is depleted. Alaric glared at the imaginary person behind the system and cursed at him using Earth language. Why did you not tell me that before now? You always managed to leave the most important message out until the last moment, he complained, seeing how he had finally summoned the fireball only for it to be wanted without him using it on the spiders. It doesn't matter when I say it as long as I say it. Alaric tutted and went back to hunting the spiders. Without wasting any more fireballs, he killed off the group of spiders and took a breath of relief as the system notification came up. Congratulations! You have completed the task. During your next stopover, kill 10 low-level beasts using fire magic, and you have obtained the task reward, 1 low-grade mana crystal. While rejoicing about his achievements, another system notification came in, and this time it was written on the screen. Alert! It has been detected that the host is in danger. The host is advised to move away from the location. New system task. Kill the Silkweaver Spider Queen. Task reward. Fireball skill plus 1 level. 7 pounds of rare black silk and 1 low-grade mana crystal. Task failure punishment. Paralysis for 24 hours. What do you mean by a new task? What do you mean I should kill the queen? Alaric exclaimed. His face paled and his mouth went dry as he read the new Spider Queen description. He got a cold sweat running through his spine as he read the queen's stats. You did not read it wrong, the system replied dully. Heck, did you somehow forget I have exhausted my mana reserve and I can't even shoot a fireball right now? How do you expect me to kill the goddamn queen? He argued with his hands flailing about. You could not allow me to die on my own, yet you are pushing me into the jaws of death. Are you a sadist? He exclaimed in horror. Only when you experience life and death will you have enough courage and combat prowess to continue the next set of quests. Alaric wanted to argue when he heard a screeching sound followed by a loud crawling sound belonging to the Silkweaver spider. He turned back to look at his opponent, and his pale face became completely white. His blood ran cold, and his feet felt heavy as he looked up at the giant spider crawling towards him. He felt a numbness in his scalp as he realized he could not move due to the fear eating out his soul. As the massive Silkweaver Spider Queen approached, Alaric's fear threatened to consume him. He desperately reached into his bag, fumbling for the mana-replenishing potion he had purchased earlier. With trembling hands, he uncorked the bottle and downed the contents, feeling a surge of energy flowing through his veins as his mana reserve was restored. Can't you give me a task to run away instead of fight? You and I both know that I can't defeat this monster, and you still gave it to me. Do you enjoy making me struggle? He questioned with a shakiest voice while trying to steady his racing heart. If you are complaining about fighting these low-level monsters, how the hell will you cope with higher-level ones? Get yourself together or you'll die without a body. The system asked, and Alaric tutted, finally getting ready to fight against the giant spider. The queen let out another screech, her green eyes fixated on Alaric as she began to weave a web of sticky silk between the surrounding trees. Realizing that his freedom of movement would soon be limited, Alaric focused his thoughts and conjured a fireball in his hand. With a forceful throw, Alaric launched the fireball towards the queen, striking her in the abdomen and causing her to recoil in pain. The queen retaliated by shooting a stream of silk towards Alaric, the sticky substance threatening to entrap him. Alaric managed to dodge the attack, rolling to the side as the silk splattered on the ground beside him. Fuck. I saw my life flash before me right now. I was literally at death's door. He groaned as he bounced back, hearing the sound of his heart racing against his ribcages. Continuing his assault, he launched fireball after fireball at the queen, as he tried to avoid the ever-growing network of silk threads aimed at him. The queen's agility made it difficult to land a decisive blow. Each strike seemed to slow her movements. You keep exaggerating. Just focus on the fight. You'll die much later if you are less dramatic about everything. As the battle between them dragged out, Alaric began to feel exhausted, panting and huffing. He downed the second bottle of mana replenishing portion as he felt his mana once again hit rock bottom. The queen, sensing his weakness, advanced on him with renewed vigor. Alaric stumbled back, desperately trying to conjure another fireball, while the portion took effect. Why not try shooting 2 fireballs at the same time? The system suggested seeing how he was struggling to land a fatal blow on the massive monster. I can shoot 2 fireballs at the same time. Are you being serious? He asked, finally feeling a ray of hope in defeating his giant opponent. I would not have suggested it if it were not possible. However, it requires precise control over your mana. It's going to be difficult in your first few tries, but you will get the hang of it. One more thing. It consumes more mana than shooting one fireball, but it deals 3 times more damage than one fireball, the system explained. And Alaric nodded. How do I shoot the fireball then? He asked with urgency laced in his voice, as the Spider Queen approached him once again. Same procedure, however. Divide the flames into 2 instead of 1. Following the system's instructions, Alaric took a deep breath and began the process of conjuring the second fireball. His brows creased together in a frown as he manifested the skill. A sense of achievement washed over him as he saw he had successfully summoned the fireball on his first try. But before he could celebrate, the queen charged towards him again, throwing her silk towards him. Alaric jumped up and launched the 2 fireballs towards her. At the same time, she let out a screech in pain and moved backwards, creating a space between the 2 while trying to put out the fire. Seeing the queen temporarily distracted, Alaric seized the opportunity to prepare for his next attack. He focused his energy, drawing upon his replenished mana reserves to conjure another pair of fireballs. This time, the process felt more natural, and the twin flames crackled to life in his hands with less effort than the first time. The queen, having extinguished the flames from Alaric's previous assault, turned her attention back to her prey. As the giant spider lunged forward, Alaric unleashed his second volley of fireballs. The first fireball struck the queen's front left leg, causing her to falter in her charge. The second fireball collided with her pillars, force of the impact knocking her off balance and sending her sprawling onto her back. Without allowing her to regain her momentum, Alaric threw a series of fireballs at it until his mana was depleted. Upon impact, the fireball erupted into a blazing inferno, engulfing the queen in flames. Her shrieks of pain echoed throughout the forest as she writhed in agony, her limbs flailing helplessly in an attempt to extinguish the fire. After what seemed like an eternity, the queen's movements slowed and eventually ceased as the flames consumed the last of her life. Alaric fell to his knees, panting heavily as he fought to catch his breath. As the adrenaline began to wear off, he felt the full weight of his exhaustion, both physical and mental, settle over him. I don't want to ever do that again, he groaned, and he lay on the ground in a star position. Congratulations, you have completed the task. Kill the Silkweaver Spider Queen. You have earned the following rewards. 1 fireball skill level up, 7 pounds of rare black silk, and 1 low-grade mana crystal. Why do you always look so ragged after every hunt? Caspian asked with a raised brow while trying to hold back his laughter. One would think you had just fought a mid-rank monster with your appearance. I guess the Silkweaver Spider gave you a hard time, huh? He teased and gave Alaric a once-over, quietly judging him in his heart. You aren't the one who was forced to fight the Silkweaver Queen. You probably wouldn't have done any better if you were in my shoes. Alaric countered with a glare as he sat up to access Caspian. Seeing Caspian's neat appearance, he felt a weight on his shoulder and went back to lying down. Shocked, Caspian's eyes went wide, and his jaw slacked in surprise. You did what? You fought the Silkweaver Queen on your own? He exclaimed, unable to believe what he had just heard. Without saying a word, Alaric pointed towards the corpse of the Spider Queen that had not burned all the way due to some hard part of the Queen's body. Caspian turned around and blinked, his shock reaching another new height as he took in the half-burned corpse, the silky webs wrapped around the trees, testifying to the battle that had happened. And lastly, he noticed the several marks left behind by the fireball skill around the whole place. He breathed out and turned back to Alaric. How did you do it? He asked in surprise and then shook his head. No, the question should be, how did you attract the Silkweaver Spider Queen in the first place? He rephrased it with a confused frown. It came unto me itself. I was busy hunting its minions when it came out of its den to attack me, Alaric explained with an aggrieved expression. The Silkweaver Spider Queen is known for its reservedness. She rarely comes out of her den. And when she does, it's only because all her children are in danger or she feels threatened, Caspian explained, and then looked around to see several charred spots around the battlefield. Was someone else here other than you? Alaric shook his head and finally got up to continue his task. There was no one else. It has only been me from start to finish. With all the commotion going on, I was expecting you to come earlier and we could kill it together. He replied calmly and drank a healing potion. Then how did you attract the queen? I'm not looking down on you or anything like that, but your presence alone does not pose a threat to the spider nest. Caspian voiced his doubt, and Alaric sighed. I got carried away while practicing the fireball skill. and I killed all the spiders that came my way. Who would have known it would attract the boss monster? He replied, and then smiled. Anyway, her appearance is a good thing for me. See the quantity of silk that you will be able to harvest. He grinned excitedly and got back to harvesting the silks. If you sell the black silks here, you will get less than when you sell them in the capital. So hold on to them for now, the system instructed as the two got back to the mission guild. Is the black silk valuable? Of course, it's a real material used in crafting magic resistance armor. 1 pound of that silver sold for an average of 100 coins, and any less than that is you being cheated. As they walked up to the counter, Caspian went first and got his items exchanged for coins. Wild boar claws and fangs. That's a total of 500 coins for 10 fangs and 300 coins for 10 claws, the attendant explained as she took note of his items. Okay, Caspian replied, and he took the coin out she handed him. She looked at him with expectant eyes, looking at his hands. Something else. Is there something else? He asked curiously. Are you not selling the bones? She asked politely, and Caspian shook his head. No, I won't be getting its worth if I sell it to your guild, he replied with a smirk. Besides, the mission I took only asked for claws and fangs, so I'm not obligated to sell it to your mission guild.